Hello, hi everyone. In this video, I would like to show you how to create a REST API, and our REST API will have a specific script, and we're gonna run the script. We're gonna send a request from the REST API Explorer in ServiceNow and test if that script is going to work or not. Okay, so let's understand what is an API and how it's going to be related to ServiceNow. So if like an example, for example, when you are writing www.youtube.com or something like in your browser, you're sending a request to the YouTube server in order to display the information that you want. For example, you want a specific video or you want to access the website itself. So in this case, you're actually sending a request. I want to view this information, and in return, you have that information. So how this thing is possible? This thing is possible because in between we have what we call an API. An API will be charged, will have inside all the code necessary, and it will be charged to fulfill your request. So it will take your query and go analyze, go get the information in the server level because it has the code in itself, and it's going to analyze, it's going to request, it's going to take the information that you want and give it to you. In the same way, if you go to a restaurant and you're ordering a meal, you have the server who is going to take your order and is going in the kitchen and then say, I want this meal for this customer, for this client. And I'm giving back that specific meal he asked for. So he come back with the meal and he gives to you. So in between you, the client, and the, let's say in the background we have the chef cook who is preparing the meal. You have the server who is acting as an API, who is going to actually get that information. Is going to actually take your query and then give you back what you want. Okay, so in the same way, we can create the REST API and send the request from REST API Explorer. So here you have, for example, I created some script, and which is I got by reading a lot of articles or watching a lot of videos, and a simple one which is actually going to, if I send them the table name and the incident number, it should give me the caller ID, the short description, and some other information. Okay, so this is where I'm going to send the request. And when I'm sending the request, I need to give some information. So I need to say what table and what is the incident number that I want to have, for which I want to have more information. So I want to just show you how it works here, and then we are going to create an entire script and then do the same thing that we are doing, but it's not going to be script 3, it's going to be a different API, and it's going to be another script 1, and we will be doing we will be writing the script to have the exact result that we are going to view right now. So I'm going to create I'm going to write here table name. So this is the parameter, the table name, and its incident. Okay, and here I'm going to enter let's say the record number. So the important thing here, I'm writing in small letters here, and then you have a capital letter. This is because it's how it's written in my code level. I said in the parameters, the table name will be written in this way. You will have small letters in the beginning and capital and so on. So if you want to have table name, everything in small letters, you could actually change as well in the code level. So we can test that in the end once I've written the entire code if you want. So here, so table name, incident, and then record number. I'm going to look for example, okay, I have a record I randomly picked, and I'm gonna just send it. Here I have the status code, which is 200 OK, which means everything went well, and I have an execution time, like how many milliseconds. Have the answer here. So incident 001, I have the record number, test is the short description, and then caller ID is the ITL. So if I want to change to another record number, so I'm going to put 6 times 0 and 5. It's another one, and you can see it's when it executed properly. And I have another record which has the short description, CPU load high for over 10 minutes, caller ID Alejandro. Okay, so now let's see if the information is correct. So I'm here in the incident table, and you can look, the first one we have entered here is this one. So I have the right caller ID, and it was short description, it was test. And the one we have just did the query is this one, and I have the right caller ID and CPU load I for 10 minutes, the right description. Okay, I have the right information. So now let's see how we can create this, where we can create the script, how we can create the API. I have the record finder API, how we can create another API which will have the same script, but I'm not just going to copy paste, I'm going to write it entirely from the beginning to the end. So on the way, I'm going to give you the explanation for each individual code, okay, that we are writing. So let's get started. So I'm going to create new scripted REST API. So if you want to create it, you have to type scripted REST in the search bar here, and you will get to the system web services, and you have scripted REST API. So you click on that, you will have this page. I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call it search record. Okay, it will be automatically giving me an API ID, which is this one. I'm going to submit. That's all you need to do. And now I'm going to look for the API. So it's here. Here's the thing. So I'm going to create the part where we have to specify what is the method, HTTP method, and where we have to write the code. So we have to go right below here, find resources, and click on new. I'm going to give like the name for the script we are going to write. So I'm going to make it simple. So it's going to be script 1. Okay. So I'm going to have it in the same thing in the related path, and it's going to be, the method is going to be get. So I have different methods. So I'm going to get some information from the server, from the ServiceNow server. So I'm going to choose get. And here we go. We're going to write our code. The first thing is to define that we're going to have parameters, right? So we have to define this. And the way we do it, the first thing is to say that we have parameters. So we have this function, and this function has two parameters, request and response. So on the request level, we're going to have some parameters, okay? And the way you do it, you just create a variable called query params will be request dot query params. So this is the way you say there is parameters in the request level. We will have some parameters, the first thing. And the other one is to specify what will be the parameters. As we saw before, that we had like the table name and as well the record number. So we have to define it here as well. So I'm going to create one variable for the table name. So it's going to be table name equal to, I'm going to use query params dot table name. Okay, so I could actually put here the capital letter in order to have the same thing. So I'm going to put in the capital letter, and in the end, now I will show you if you change it in the small letter, you have to write it in a small letter when you are going to send the query. Okay, I'm going to create another one, which is going to be record number equal to the same exact code. Okay, so the first part is defining the parameters. What will be our parameters? Okay, and the query parameters. Whatever the value we are going to enter is going to be given to the specified variable. So we have the table name and record number. So if we say the table name is equal to incident, when we are sending request, it will be in this variable. In the same way for the record number, it will be in this variable. Okay. Now, once we have that, we have to send. We are retrieving the table name in order to use it somewhere, right? So where we are going to use is to have the list of the record. We want to see all the record, right? The end goal is to see the information of the specific record number that we are entering. But even before that, we have to have all the information somewhere. So therefore, we have to create another variable, which is rec gr, to have all the records and fields. So it will be with this class new glide record. Okay, and in the brackets, that's where we are going to say what value you should have. You should have the value of the table name. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now we are going to query the database to have all the information. So we do it with the query method. Once we have done that, we have all the information at this level, okay, all the records. Now we have to analyze them, look for the specific record that we are asking for, which is the number that we are entering in the query. But not only that, we will want as a response the short description, the caller ID, as well as the record number. So we have to have this information somewhere as well. So what we are going to do is to create a loop in order to go record by record. So I'm going to create a while loop, and in this while loop I will specify. So this is the code that we are saying, hey, go one by one for each record. Okay, and this is where we have to write what you should do. So I'm going to create an object, obj, which is going to be empty, and this object will have all the information such as the short description and so on. So I'm going to first put the record number, which will be object display value. So the way you can get that information, you have to use a method called get display value. So I'm gonna use it here, get display display value, not record value, sorry. So that's what we have to have here, and it should be empty. Okay, so if it is empty, it's going to return us the value, the record number. Now I'm going to store the short description. Equal your get display value, and into the brackets I have to enter the database name of the short description, which is going to be short like this. So, and then I'm going to do the same thing for caller ID. Okay, sorry, I got get display value, display value. Okay, display value, and then here I'm gonna have the caller ID. Okay, perfect. So now I have all the information on a specific object while it's going to run the loop, the while loop, And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put an if condition. In that if condition, I'm going to compare the value that I have in the record number, to the value that I have in the display value. Okay, object.display. So this is how I can say whatever the information that I'm giving you in the query level, so the record number, and it should be compared while it's doing the loop. Okay, so if it found some information which is exactly the same, so it's going to be equal, it's going to execute whatever I'm going to write here. So if it found the record in the while it's querying, while it's doing the while loop, and keep repeating both times the word while, and here I have to say, like, here you're gonna give me that specific object. So if you find the record, give me that object which contains the short description, which contains the caller ID and the record number. So this is how you do. You have to type response. This thing I'm getting from here. Okay, so response and set body is the method which will allow us to display information at this level. Okay, so set body, and we are going to use this object. Okay, so now we have written all the code perfectly, so it should work. Okay, and we're going to test later. We're going to change to smaller just to see if it is going to work as well or not. Okay, so I'm going to save it. So I have script 1 in search record API. It's not the one that I have here. This is record finder and script 3. So I'm gonna close this one, open another one. So I'm gonna click here. So I have search record, I have script 1 here. I'm gonna add the query here. Table name, and it's going to be incident, and as well the record number is going to be, I'm gonna take, for example, I don't know, this one. Okay, let's take this one, David Miller. So I'm gonna take this one, paste it here. I'm gonna send the request to see if it's going to work or not. I have a status code 200 OK, execution time, and the result here. So I have the display value, which is the incident number. I have the short description. My computer is now detecting the headphone device, and then caller ID David Miller. So this is the information that I have here, right? Is getting the right information. So if I change, let's say I'm gonna put this one, David Lou. I have again the right information. So I have the record number, I have the short description, file server is 80% full, and the caller ID. Okay, great. So now the important one thing that I would like to explain here, if I change this thing to small letters, you have to write it in the same way at this level. So if I run now, it's not going to give me the answer, it's going to not work. So I'm going to send it. As you can see here, I have an error. So if I want to make it, that thing works, so you won't get the right thing here. It's saying you have a problem at line 9. That is not the problem. So the problem is this one. So I'm gonna just change it to small letters and send it, and you can see it's getting the result properly. That is because we have named it in the same way here. So I'm gonna put it back as it was before, so it's proper, and I'm going to save it in this way. And if I run now, it's not going to work. So you can see it's not working, and now I have to change it, put this one in capital letter, and as well this one. Okay, so now I'm sending, it should work. So I have the status code, which is green, have the result. So this is how we can create a REST API which has the script, and how we can test if the script is working perfectly or not. It's from the Explorer. Thank you for watching. Hope you like it. Bye.